Hey, ACC football Saturday, 12:30, Georgia Tech, Virginia. This should be a good one. Georgia Tech, awful tough. They surely hammered the Syracuse Orangemen this past Saturday. So don't forget ACC football exclusively on WBBZ-TV. Bob Kaczynski back with you, and I've got the hockey man, Steve Manson, who actually, as we're taping this show, he had just left the First Niagara Center. Had a lunch there today. What was the gist of the luncheon today?
Well, of
Steve?
course, it was to talk about everything that's going to be going on at the new building across the street, the Harbor Center. It's going to be quite the place, and they've got some tremendous programs that they're going to introduce, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be another big step for hockey in Western New York, and you know. Now, if they just put a little more action in their own team, I'd be a little more excited.
We'll get to the team in just a second. We'll get to the team in just a second. But I can't help every time. And first of all,
right.
I'm very happy, and I'm very appreciative of Mr. Pegula and what he's doing with this facility. Certainly, he's one of those guys who's putting his money where his mouth is. And I can't help but think every time I think of that building of what was proposed for down there by Adelphia 10 years ago. Actually, now it's about 12 years ago, which was another high-rise, another hotel complex, another entertainment complex. They did not have a hockey rink attached to that one. There was going to be a sports bar and a certain regional sports network was going to be there. And
I can remember sitting in your office at the old certain sports network looking at the plans with you, and boy, I tell you, that would have been something.
Yeah. So, but it's glad to see now, a decade later, something is being, it's going to be a jewel downtown to have that facility. And have a hockey rink, Kenesha's going to play there. Sabres going to practice there, 2 rinks. And there's going to be youth hockey there, which you're kind of wondering how that's going to work out, I guess, for parents and kids with all the traffic and everything going on downtown.
I'm sure they're going to work it out, but it is, let's be honest, there's going to be 41 Sabre games during the season, plus all the other events they have there. It's, when kids have to go on a Wednesday night to a hockey game down there, or there's a concert going on across the street and whatever. I know they're planning on the parking and everything. I hope they've got it all worked out. And you know what? These are some pretty smart people, and I assume they will. But I have some questions about it.
Well, nice. I mean, you went down, you ate their food for free. You come in, you slam their program.
I'm not slamming the program. I'm really excited about their program.
I'm teasing
The Junior Sabre program they've got going in there is unbelievable. I'm very excited about that. So, but that's a whole other.
We're going to get back to that because obviously on everybody's minds right now is the Sabres. They're the NHL team. Though right now that's kind of a stretch because they've won just one game.
In a shootout.
In a shootout. This team, we were warned last year, and although Darcy kind of took it back after he said it, prepare to suffer. Do you think they even anticipated this much suffering?
Not in their wildest dreams. I mean, and this is not 20/20 hindsight. I sat right here in this chair last spring when we talked about Darcy's search for a coach, interviewed nobody, and decided Ron Ralston was his man. Well, I said at that time I didn't feel Ron Ralston was the guy to do the job. And today I stand by my, I think Ralston, I don't want to say is in over his head because he's not. He's a good guy.
Should they fire Ron Ralston?
They should do more than that, but that should be the start.
What else can they do to the poor guy?
No, I don't mean fire. I mean do more.
Oh, you mean fire somebody else?
I think the entire management down there.
I thought you wanted to put them in leg irons or something.
Here goes the free lunch, but I think it's time for the entire. As I said on the air last spring, it's time for a house cleaning down there of the management. I mean, is this? I hear on their own morning radio show where they're talking about how they have to suffer so they get a first-round pick. Well, I bet you 99% of the people in the city of Buffalo right now or in Western New York don't even know who that first-round pick might be. Is it going to be Sam Reinhart out of Kootenai, out west? Is it going to be Sam Bennett out of Kingston playing for the Kingston Frontenacs? Is it going to be this young kid, Brendan, playing for the Niagara Ice Dogs? Nobody knows. And again, is this the answer? Are we going to lose the entire season so we can have the first overall pick, which, by the way, is not guaranteed? There's a lottery. They could end up with a 14th pick. Well, actually, I think they could drop to 3. But there's no guarantee you get the top pick overall.
Right.
I mean, this whole thing is ridiculous. Plus the fact, are you going to be teaching all these young kids they've got up here now to lose? Because basically that's what they're learning now. This team was better in training camp than they are now. The whole thing is starting to unravel.
You think the losing is starting to wear on them mentally?
Oh, absolutely. And the veterans aren't even playing hard. How many times do we have to listen to Ralston come into a post-game press conference and say, well, if we'd shown up on time, we probably would have had a better effort tonight? How can you have a team that has so much, I don't even know how to explain it, and they don't show up? When they don't win hockey games, and they don't even show up. That's ridiculous. How is that anyway acceptable? And it seems to be.
Well, you look at this team, and they've got. First of all, do you think Ryan Miller and Vanek are going to be here for the whole season?
Well, if you would have asked me that 6 months ago, I'd say probably not. But I don't see any movement. First of all, who's going to take Miller with his big salary? Now, Miller and Enroth have been the only guiding lights for this season. Without them, the scores would have been far away. They're talking about how they're so close in these games. Without their goaltenders, they would never even be close in most of them. But Miller's got a huge salary. He's got no contract at the end of the year. Who's going to give what the Sabres seem to be looking for to get him?
What about Vanek?
I think Vanek has trade value and whatever. And let's be honest, he's not doing the job for Buffalo, which I think is hurting his trade value. I mean, what veteran, really, with the exception of maybe Marcus Foligno, and it's hard for me to even call him a veteran, what veteran is playing well? They're playing far worse than they did when Lindy was the coach.
Right.
Again, I go back to the same. How is this acceptable?
Lindy's coming in on the 28th, and I'm seeing
Monday,
now that fans are putting together. They want fans to wear their old, goat head jerseys in the black and red to honor Lindy.
I know, to honor Lindy, and fortunately, I understand the Sabres are going to do something before the game.
Well, they should. Yeah.
Which I was very disgusted when they didn't do anything for Pominville. Even just acknowledge him on the scoreboard. Yeah. He was their captain.
We're going to talk about that in a second. We're going to take a break. I want you to maintain that feistiness. We'll be back with the hockey man, Steve Manson, right after this.